Hello and welcome back to the Silver Screen Shenanigans podcast. I am Riley, joined here today with Devin, and we are going to be talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean Deadman's Chest, not the other one.
Saved it.
There's two of them that are like the exact same beginning.
Deadman, yeah.
But yeah, so that's the movie that we're going to be talking about today. This is the only movie that I remember as a kid watching these. I don't know if it's just like the time that they were released, because this was released in 2006 is
Right.
what it says on IMDb, but I think it said 2007 on
Yeah, I
Disney.
remember only the first three.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't get the chance to watch the other two, or I just didn't want to. But yeah, the only ones that I like and remember watching.
See, I did not remember the first one, because when we watched it, I was like, I don't think I could have handled this as a child.
The skeletons, yeah.
Yeah.
Disney's getting,
I
well,
was
they
freaked
were
out.
dark anyway.
This was dark too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The beginning?
Oh yeah.
My goodness.
So this one opens up with, I guess we're not done with Will and Elizabeth.
Well, it could have been.
I thought their story wrapped up rather nicely at the end of the first one, and I was hoping we're going to follow Jack and stuff like that.
Yeah, start off in they're getting married, right?
Yep.
It's the
But-
wedding day.
Elizabeth's alone and it's
Elizabeth!
raining. Elizabeth! You need a ambulance? She's alone and it's raining. And Will getting arrested, that's a kind of a weird thing to do on your wedding day.
I don't know. Don't get arrested.
Yeah.
Goofball.
What are you doing? So our we don't see Captain Norrington anywhere. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Instead we get Lord Cutler Beckett. God, what? If I didn't know he was the bad guy,
What an annoying person.
that name is oh, he's the bad guy. Of the East India Trading Company. Not cool. Not a cool
Yeah.
company. Because historically, not
Historically, they were bad. Very bad. Not good.
Not great.
Yeah. I don't know. It was very interesting because they didn't really mention it. I guess I didn't hear it when they did mention it, if they did, but I just kept seeing the symbol of the East Indian Trading Company, like EITC, and I was like, I wonder what that means.
Yeah. So they're getting arrested because, it's pretty obviously well known that Will and Elizabeth helped Jack escape.
No, yeah, there were a lot of people there.
There are a lot of
his...
people. And so obviously Elizabeth's dad is pretty he's in a tizzy.
Yeah, I mean, because he's on her side.
Right, and he's the governor. But I guess governor doesn't do anything against the Lord.
Yeah, I guess that comes down to by the queen versus by the citizens.
That's so stupid.
Oh, England.
Oh, England. So Elizabeth is imprisoned while Beckett negotiates with Will, and he's like, "Hey, Will, get the compass, and I have these letters of freedom for you and Elizabeth. You get the compass, and we're square. We're cool." So.
Well, Will does it only to get Elizabeth out of jail, right?
Right.
He wasn't going to. He would have gladly not done it for
Helped
them.
him, yeah.
Yeah, but they had Elizabeth,
Right.
so.
So, and I think I love Jack's introductions in these movies. I think, honestly, if we would skip the first chunk of this movie, it just opened with Jack's introduction.
Yeah, this is where I meant it was still dark, because they go to a prison where they're dragging people in and throwing dead people out, and it's the coffin bearers throwing them into the ocean, which.
And this bird lands on one of them, It was like
Starts-
pecking it, and then like a shotgun blast blows the hole through the coffin, and it's Jack, and he's like, "Sorry, mate," and he breaks the foot off the dead guy, and he like rows towards the Black Pearl. But
that was pretty cool that the Black Pearl was there.
Mhm.
Because if it wasn't, he was so screwed.
yeah, 100%. And he tells the crew that it was a worthwhile adventure because he's got what the key looks like, this little picture of the key. And they need to get this key, and the crew thinks it's for like fortune and stuff like that.
Huge treasure chest full of, yeah.
And it's just funny describing like where they say like, so we can get the chest. And Jack's like, well, what good would getting the chest be if we don't have the key to get it's funny banter. Like,
yes, yeah. He's like, well, why don't we just go get the chest then? Well, we have to have the key to get in the chest,
Yeah.
and we have to have the chest. We have to know what the key looks like to get the key, to get to the chest open, to get what's in the chest.
Jack's like, y'all just ain't thinking. Yeah, okay, I'm the only, I'm the smartest one on this ship. So that night, Jack is like messing with this compass, and it's still spinning. And he's like trying to plot navigation and stuff like that because he doesn't have a heading, where to go to get this key. And I kind of have a theory about that. Like, Jack wants the sea, he wants freedom. That's why I think the compass is, because that's not a location.
Yeah.
So
maybe, I wonder if he wanted, because he wants the chest, but he also wants the key. So if that's what it was telling him where the chest and the key at the same time. Like, that might be why it was back and forth. I don't know.
maybe.
It's just a thought. Because now that he had the key, he was solely focused on the chest, causing it.
He don't have the key yet.
Later in the movie, I mean.
So
because
he pours from a bottle, and he's like, why is the rum always gone? So he goes to the bottom of the ship, and he gets this bottle, and we run into Bootstrap Bill. And he's not looking so hot.
No, dude. Every time he speaks, water falls out of his mouth.
And like he's covered in like coral
And barnacles.
and like and he's like his hair is grown. He's like has dark patches all over him. And yeah, I remember like as a kid I was so confused. I was like, how'd he get on the ship? Where'd he come from? And
magic.
yeah. And he's telling well, Jack tells him, he's like, well, actually, I got the pearl back with the help of your kid. And then, like, it's like this moment of shock of, like, he's like, Bootstrap's like, oh, crap. My kid became a pirate, too.
Yeah, because he wanted better for his son's life.
Yeah.
That's also, I think, why he sent him that piece of gold was...
Right. Sell it.
Yeah.
Get rich.
Yeah.
Well,
then, dude...
Good thing
he
didn't.
was stuck at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, and he told him, yeah, because of the curse, he's like, I felt the weight of the ocean every day, and like I didn't die.
Yeah. Unable to move, unable to die.
Yeah.
Unable to breathe.
Until the Dutchman came across and Davy Jones picked him up, and either this fate or that fate, he chose to be a part of the Flying Dutchman, and Bootstrap is basically here just to say, hey, Jack, your time's up with the deal you made with the Dutchman.
Yeah.
And then he, like, disappears through the ship.
That dude, it was crazy. Because he came out of nowhere, too.
Yeah. So, I guess because the deal was... He made the deal with Davy Jones to be a captain of the Black Pearl for 13 years. And then after that...
He'd owe him a century.
Yeah, you're going to come work with me.
But nobody makes it to a century.
Yeah. And he says, if you don't, like, keep... Like, Bootstrap tells Jack, if you don't keep good on your deal, you know what he's going to send after you. And, like, this sends Jack, he's, like, yelling at everybody to,
Well,
like...
yeah, he shakes his hand, and on
the black
gets the black mark.
Yeah, and he's freaking out, and he's yelling at Gibbs and the whole crew. He's like, get everything ready, and because
get to shore.
we got to find land. So we get this like kind of montage of like Will going around looking for Jack, and like people said he was dead, people said he was in Singapore.
You see him and then they smack.
Yeah, the ladies. Here's a message for him, and they smack Will. What did Will do?
He probably deserved it.
So eventually he comes across this guy who said he doesn't know where Jack is, but he saw this ship on shore with this black sails. And like, what other ship has the black sails?
Right. I wonder why that is. Why is
the Black Pearls uniquely?
Yeah.
The blacks, I don't know. They kill whoever else has black sails on it.
That's a very good point. I mean, I would do that. If my pirate crew had one specific color, and other people decided to use that
Copy
color,
it? No.
No. I don't think so.
So Will's like, well, I'm going to go there. And so I think these guys are French, I believe.
Oui.
And so he tells Will, this is as far as I'm going to take you, basically. So he has to swim like 100 feet in the water. And nobody's on the ship because he yells for Gibbs and the parrot dude and Jack, and nobody's there. So he ventures into the forest, and he sees Gibbs. Like, I love how they kept
he sees the bird, and the bird says, "Don't eat me! Don't eat me!"
He's like, "I'm not going to eat you." And I love that detail they kept from the first movie, like Gibbs' little rum pouch.
Yeah, it's like the most important thing to him.
Yeah, and it's hanging by a tree, and he's like, well, that's weird too. So it's on a string, and he follows it right into a trap. He gets strung up, and then he's like swinging at like the native people with his sword, and then they shoot like a dart into his neck, and
they look at each other like, what the heck?
He passes out, and so then we cut to these top of these cliffs, and Jack has made himself the king of like these native people, and like
I think of him as a god.
I've seen this thing where like. People are like, well, how long did this take? This is like, what was this? Like a couple of days? This only could have been like a couple of days of like, since Will was searching for him. I'm like, yeah. So what if it is? What if it was just a couple days?
You got to think of boat travel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, depending on how far it was.
Could have been like a week, maybe.
Could have been a week. Could have been 2 weeks. Could have been a month.
Even if it was a couple of days, I think it still works that these people have made Jack like their king and like trapped the rest of them.
Yeah.
To eat.
Yeah. Well, no, they're gonna eat Jack.
Yep. Because like they say he's like the king, but like in order to
they think he's a god incarnated.
And they have to free him from.
Yeah.
It's like ooh.
Free him from his mortal body.
Ew.
By eating it.
And yeah, so like when they bring Will in, Jack whispers to him, he's like, "Save me." So oh yeah, they tells him that Elizabeth's been captured, and these have the letters of marque, and they want Jack to return the compass, and Jack and his crew through hijinks, lots of hijinks. Like the rest of the crew is hanging off these like balls
made out of
like bamboo and.
No, did you catch that?
What?
So when they first got there,
there
were a lot more people on the boat. So
and they're like these were made after.
They used body parts of the dead people to build these cages.
And so they swing over to these cliffs, and they're like, and there's like 6 in each of like these balls.
Yeah.
And then they say, come on, men, we need all of us to operate the pearl. And the other guys in the ball say, no, actually you only need about like 6 really to operate it. And then they they look at each other and they start to like furiously run up the hill, and then one of like the tribe notices them.
Yeah.
And the ball with like the not important people in the crew, they grab a snake, and I think it's one of those like poisonous ones.
Yeah, it was a coral snake, I think. He freaks out and like jumps back and knocks the entire thing off.
And it like snaps from like the top of like the tether that it was held to. And they fall. Bye-bye.
Well, it was nice to see you.
They did. The rest of them climb up and like they're, hijinks. They're rolling down in this thing, and they eventually like break apart into the water. Yeah. And meanwhile, Jack is like tied up, going to be roasted.
Dude, they're so lucky that it broke in the water, because if it didn't, they would drown.
They were screwed. And so Jack escapes, and he's running around with like this pole tied to his back. And
I like this scene because they throw a bunch of fruit and stuff at him.
And he does the flip.
And
then the weight.
Yes.
Yep. And he falls. And like the bamboo gets like stuck between the two mountains, and then he like spins down with like the rope he was tied to. And then that breaks, and he falls all the way into the water. Or no, he falls through
bunch of bridges
that like sort of break his fall, and like then he lands on the ground, which I imagine it still hurts.
I think he broke a couple ribs.
Oh yeah,
had to have,
probably.
I mean, from a logistics standpoint,
and
that would have hurt. So
most
bad.
of the crew. Oh, and I guess we forgot the two idiot pirates from the first movie. They're still around, and like they're just. I guess they're just.
Are they at Tortuga?
No, they're in the ocean.
Oh yeah,
and they're like in a little boat, and I guess they're just doing their own thing, and one of them's trying to read the Bible, and he's like, "You can't even read. What are you doing?" And he goes, "Hey, it's the Bible. You get points for trying." And he's like, "True."
Yeah, that's right. They come across the black.
They come across the pearl, and they're like, "Well, that'd be really cool if we
could sell that. I bet we could captain that one."
And so they're starting to untether it, and then like the rest of the crew shows up, and they're like, "Oh, good job, guys! You already started to untether." And he goes, "Yeah, for you guys." And they're like, "We gotta wait for Jack."
Yeah,
and
what about Jack?
And then we see him running, and then there's like at least like I'm gonna guess like 500 natives chasing him,
a lot of
and they're
people
like,
after him.
Never mind, let's go.
Get it going, go! Yeah.
Time to go. And
Jack
that's how they escaped. They were in those two idiot pirates were at Port Royale, and the dog was like in the little dinghy thing with them.
Yes,
with the keys.
yeah.
So they.
Dude, I feel that dog's gone.
Oh, that dog's dead. Because after they escape, all the crew escapes into the shallows.
We see the dog come back out,
and he's barking at the natives, and then he runs away, and
they chase
him. Oh my god, the dog's dead.
Yeah. Well, we get the Jack's thing. He's like, "Today is the day you almost," and then he gets splashed with water and doesn't.
Wave.
And then he's
Captain Jack Sparrow. And it was just funny because they don't understand what he's saying.
Yeah. Dude, that's the thing with like most movies, right? Like the scenes where like they're in different areas talking to each other as if they're not.
Or like I was thinking more English. Like he's speaking
English. Oh
English.
yeah, that's true.
I don't know what he's saying.
That is completely true.
But that too, like the crashing of the waves, they probably didn't hear him at all. So
it's more for him.
Yeah, for him, 100%. And so Weatherby Swan is escapes Elizabeth from jail and
breaks Elizabeth out. Escapes doesn't mean
helps Elizabeth escape.
Oh, there you go. Proper English, yeah.
Yes. So, and he says he's got friends, being the governor of with a dude down at the port that's gonna help him escape. And Weatherby, bro, he's hauling with these horses.
Yeah. He gets her loaded into the back of a carriage,
and he gets to this guy, and he's like standing upright, and he's like, Weatherby's like calling for him,
Captain.
but he's like not moving, and then he falls to the ground after being stabbed in the neck by, I guess, like
this guy's
what's the bad guy's name? I've already Lord.
Lord.
What was his name?
Cutler. I am
Lord Cutler.
Cutler. Okay.
And it's Lord Cutler's like enforcer. I'm guessing like that's his character.
This guy is scary.
Yeah, he like stabs the captain in the neck, and he's like, "Oh, he also had this letter on him that's from you. That's interesting." So yeah, he's arrested, but when they go to the carriage, Elizabeth's not there, disappeared.
Then we cut to the.
This is kind of a cool moment from Elizabeth. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know how she did it.
Yeah, I don't. So, oh shoot.
We cut to the living quarters of Lord Cutlass.
Yes, Lord Cutler.
Cutler.
And he's like, I don't know. She knows. She's there because like the letters of marque aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
And like she's holding a pistol, and
he goes, convince me to sign them, and she sticks the gun in his face.
He's like, yeah, listening intently. So he signs them
and stamps them,
mm-hmm.
which is really good for her.
Yeah, Elizabeth.
She got him.
Elizabeth and Will, good.
Well, it's only for one person. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is if they gave it to Jack Sparrow, the two of them aren't free. But he is, meaning that their crime was freeing an innocent man. Therefore, like they would also be free. I think in my head that's how it would work.
Ooh,
but in theirs, it might have just been
in
only one
English.
Yes.
So she got that.
Yes.
And then she escape.
Yes.
And
dressed
where
up.
do we go?
She dressed up as one of the cabin boys. Not a cabin boy, but a deckhand.
Right, on one of these ships for the East India Trading Company.
She starts messing with her dress.
Well, first,
okay.
We go back to Tortuga. And Jack visits the voodoo priest.
Is that at Tortuga?
I thought it was. I could be wrong. Maybe it isn't.
I think it's at a different place, but it's not far from Tortuga.
Tia Dalma, who tells them that the key unlocks the dead man's chest. That's where Davy Jones' heart is, because that's how you be the eternal commander of the Flying Dutchman. Is you have to take out your heart, so you're kind of like a soulless vessel. And he can only visit land once every 10 years. So they're sailing around, and they find this damaged ship where Jack, he knows by the look of it what destroyed that ship. And
well, they get there and they're like, that's the Flying Dutchman. Yep, that's it.
Go get it, Will. We believe in you. And he's like, he's going to leave out the part of like who the Flying Dutchman.
And if you get any trouble, tell him I sent you.
Yeah. So Will goes on there, and he encounters the Dutchman, and they bring the dying crew. Dude, I think the actor for Davy Jones and like the motion capture.
Yes.
Holy crap! For 2006, it looks so
that's
good.
What dude. The first movie, this movie, amazing CGI.
Mm-hmm.
Great CGI and motion capture. Where is that in other ones? Like,
I guess they had time, because this was 3 years after the last one.
They did take 3 years, I suppose.
And I'll stand by that till the day I die. Give sequels time. Like the Batman, for example, its sequel is coming out in 2025, or either 2024 or 2025, one of those. But it's getting time, and I'm like, good.
Yeah.
But So yeah, CGI looks incredible, and he comes up and he's like, "Do you fear death?" And dude, he is just like one of the dudes is like actually shaking. Like one guy, he's not so scared, and he pays for that. Gets his neck slit and thrown over the side of the ship.
Yep.
The next guy says he will join the Dutchman, and
well, the rest of them have to join.
Mm-hmm. And then he's walking. His design is just so cool. He's got like a crab hand, and the other hand's a tactical. He's got like the peg leg, where like it's like you it's like that cool step where it's like that
boom.
Yeah, it's boom. So sick. And like his hat, like his it's almost like kind of Jackson in a way, but like it's has a neat design where it's like folded over.
Yeah. And his head is literally an octopus.
Yeah, and like the beard is like the tentacles.
It's the tentacles.
It's so sick. And like he walks over and he sees Will and he's like, this man is neither dead nor dying. And so he's like, what's your purpose? And he goes, I've come to settle a score for Captain Jack, or for Jack Sparrow. And he's like, say again. He's like, I've come to settle a score for Jack Sparrow. And he's like, have you now? And then, so like, he turns around. This part is so sick. Jack's like looking at this from like a faraway distance through
the telescope.
Through his telescope. And like, as Davy Jones turns around and then Jack lowers it, and he's right in front of him on the Black Pearl, like a good 100 feet away.
Dude, that is so cool.
Spooky. And like the rest of the crew is
just
there
come
too.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, come out of the wood.
And yeah, they hold knives to their throats, and Jack's like, hey, how you doing?
I sent him to settle my score. He goes, you got my soul. That's a soul. There you go.
He's like, you think you can trade one soul for another? He's like,
souls are not equal.
Well, he's like, Jax, well, hold on. I think you would find this interesting, that he's in love. And like, this is what I think is interesting about the Dutchman, is like that kind of like stops him in his tracks. Like, he's not furious anymore. He's kind of like just standing still and like just looking blankly forward.
Because he was in love.
Mm-hmm. He's like, but then he kind of like snaps out of it and says, and Jack's like saying, well, how much do you think my soul is worth? And he goes, 100 souls, minus the one you've already given me, Will. And he goes, okay, 99 souls. And he goes, 3 days, Sparrow. I love how he says Sparrow.
So that's my question: is do they immediately get the barnacles and stuff on them when they agree to sign up, or?
I think it's over time, right? With like Bootstrap.
Okay. How is there a shark-headed guy? How is there a pufferfish-faced person?
They've been there for a while.
Okay. They like develop animal qualities? Okay, cool. Yeah. Or did he just hire up some sharks and some pork?
I imagine it's like they take on more qualities of the sea the longer they're there.
Gotcha.
Which, that'd be pretty cool. Be a hammerhead dude. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, one of them turns into a coral wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Will kind of gets sent off to the Dutchman. That's so messed up by Jack. He's like, yeah, take Will. So yeah, we get to see the Flying Dutchman, and the design of that ship is so sick. And so they're like rigging up some cannons, and like it slips, and they blame Will. And
well, they yell Turner, right? And both of them go to do it.
Right.
And they start yelling at each other because they're like, they called me.
And like, I think just because of like Will slipped on the ground and like didn't hold on to the rope, like they blame the younger Will, not Bootstrap. Yeah. And so like they tie him up and they're gonna give him some lashings for punishment, and so Davy
Bootstrap.
Jones is like, well, you can either have one of the else crew do it. Oh yeah, because he doesn't know that they're father and son, and then Bootstrap's like, he's my son, and and then Davy Jones starts laughing, and he's like, what wild circumstances? That's crazy. Whip him.
You do it.
And so Bootstrap's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and he whips him, and then Will stumbles to the ground, and he's like, Bootstrap says, I did it because the crewmate that was going to do it prides himself on ripping flesh with every whip, and
dude, ripping flesh from bone.
Yeah.
Meaning that he went deeper than muscle.
And
Ooh.
Will's like, so I'm supposed to think that was mercy? And he goes, yeah.
It was. It was mercy.
So they talk, and Will promises Bootstrap that he's going to come back and he's going to save him. He's going to get him off the Dutchman. So that's sweet.
Well, what? Is that then, or is that when they then play the dice game?
I think it's now.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's now.
Okay.
So... Oh. I guess that game happens
before.
Right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know I don't remember what it was called.
I don't know. You're supposed to you roll.
Everybody has 3 cups.
Dice.
We have cups of dice.
Yeah.
And you roll it, and then you guess how many of a certain number there are.
Yeah. So you look at yours, and
then you're gonna guesstimate.
You guess how many of everyone else's,
and
different numbers. You
can get in trouble for lying. You can like if you get caught lying, then you're also punished. But whoever loses takes, I don't know, the rules.
Yeah, they bet years of service
because that's all they have.
Yeah,
and
Will bet
he's gonna challenge Davy Jones eternity on the Flying Dutchman. And then he's like, for this, and then he lays down the key, and then Davy Jones is like, how in the hell do you know about that? And he goes, well, that's not part of the game. So they play. And
Bootstrap joins in.
Yeah, they throw down their cups, and so does Bootstrap.
And he bets eternity as well.
And so...
Dude, Will would have won. He would have. So they start out by doing different random numbers, and then they go on to 4s. And Will goes...
Four fours?
4 4s. And then Bootstrap said... No, then it goes to...
7s?
Bootstrap says 7s, and then it goes to Davy Jones, who says 7 4s. Which, that's a lot of 4s.
Yeah.
That's significantly more 4s than one person should have. Meaning that he knows that somebody else has some other number.
So, yeah, they lift him up, and turns out that Bootstrap is the liar.
Well, Bootstrap yells 12 4s.
Yeah, which that's...
that way it saves Will's life.
So he's going to be called out the liar and serve eternity on the Dutchman.
You're a liar, you're a cheat, and he's like...
He's pissed.
Yeah.
But...
Bro almost got 2 souls.
Yeah. So, yeah, he did that to save Will. And Bootstrap's like, oh, it wasn't about winning or losing. You just wanted to know because...
Where the key was.
Davy Jones said, oh, you mean this key? And it's it's hidden...
In his chest cavity.
In his tentacles. So, that night... Okay, Will. The ball's on Will. It sneaks into the captain's quarters where, he has, this organ that he plays, and that score sounds really sick.
Yes.
And he steals the flipping key. Bruh.
Almost gets caught, dude.
Oh, yeah. Several times.
Oh, my goodness.
He
replaces it with the picture of the key, though.
Oh, and then to get the souls, Jack and the crew stop at Tortuga.
Yes.
And so like they're in the bar signing people up, and there's this one guy where he's like, my wife divorced me. I give my life to the drink. I don't care whether I live or die. And then Gibbs goes, "You're perfect. Welcome to the crew."
Another one goes, "Well, I've got a bum knee. My shoulder always hurts." He goes,
"Welcome aboard."
Sounds great. You're just trying to get 100 people.
And then there's one guy who steps up and he's like, "I spent my whole life searching the 7 seas after this one pirate, but then I lost my crew, my name, and my position." And then I love how Jack's like, he pulls this leaf and he's like trying to hide behind the leaf, and he's like trying to walk away. And yeah, it's Norrington, not a captain anymore.
No, there's also a warrant out for his arrest. Kind of goofy.
And he points a gun at Jack, and the crew stops him, so he fires into the sky, and like it hits the chandelier, and the chandelier breaks someone's bottle, and then a fight breaks out.
Yeah.
But yeah, as that was happening, I guess that Elizabeth was on that ship, and she convinced these idiots to go to Tortuga because she like used the ghost dress, and like she literally had to spell it out for him like with fire on the ship.
And then they also didn't look at it. They looked at the other direction.
So that's how she's here. And she's helping Norrington fight. And then at the end, because, like, she thinks it's stupid, like, she's done fighting. So she smashes a bottle over his head and, like, knocks him out. And he gets thrown into, like, the pigsty.
They were completely surrounded.
So he gets thrown into the pigsty. And she meets with Norrington, and she's like, "Ooh, what has the world done to you?" So
she almost married him.
True. It's got to be tough to see him like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I liked Jack's before Norrington showed up. He goes, "We're doing great. How many that was 4 of them, right? How many we got signed up all together?" "Well, with those 4, yeah, we've got 4. It's like perfect. That's exactly correct.
So like as the crew they're loading up onto the Black Pearl at the port of Tortuga. It's such a funny line. Because what does she say to Jack? Because he thinks he's a guy, and I can't remember what she says. But it throws the Jack off, and he's like, "Let's get out of here." He's like, I don't swing that way. But then he turns around, he's like, "Oh, hey, it's Elizabeth."
I think she says something like, "I've been chasing a man."
Oh, right.
Or something.
Yeah, he's like, "Let's go." Okay. So, and it's kind of interesting though that, so, hold on. Oh, never mind. So it's kind of a sweet scene though that like, Jack is, he lives for this pirate life, the freedom, the wondrous nature of it.
Yeah.
But he's also, still a pirate. He he totally screwed Will over. Like he slithers his way out of like any scenario that he can. But it's also, he likes the wondrous part of being a pirate. And it's kind of a sweet scene because like, it's kind of cute how Elizabeth is kind of enamored with the pirate's life. And so he's like, "Wait a minute. I know the compass leads me to what I want most," because after their talk with Talia, I think, or Tia, so the voodoo lady.
The voodoo scary lady.
Oh, and also, my bad, Jack got the jar of dirt.
Yeah.
Very important. You get jar of dirt. He's got a jar of dirt. He's like, "Hold on. The compass points to what you want most. And then she's like, are you lying, Jack? He goes, nope. I mean every word. And so he gives her the compass, and it points. I don't know where it points, but it
points the correct direction.
It points in an actual direction instead of like just spinning.
Yeah.
And I like how Jack's like, he's like
above it.
He's like, hey, we have a heading. We know we're actually supposed to go now. So they all load up on the ship, and it's funny because the two idiot pirates, they're like, oh, hey, look, it's Commodore. He's like, and then they give him a sheep. Like, they give him, no, a goat for some reason. I don't know why they gave him a goat. So Jack and Gibbs, they realize that they're after Jack's compass because the compass leads to what he wants most, which is the Dutchman's heart.
Yeah.
And that would not be good if Beckett has control of
the sea,
the Kraken. Yeah.
So here's I just thought of this, because when her dad was trying to get her free, he was looking for the dog, and he goes, oh, where's that dog with the keys? It took the keys with it, meaning that they're all stuck in the prison cells. They can't get out.
I mean, I imagine they have more keys, but like, I know what you mean.
But yeah, I mean,
those set are gone. So like that.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second, that dog took the keys with it.
Savage. So in the meantime, Will escaped the Dutchman, and he found refuge on that the same trading ship as Elizabeth did. And then they hit something, and dude, the Kraken is so I think it's probably because of my thalassophobia, 100%. But the Kraken,
so that's the fear of deep water.
Yeah. Dude, even as a kid, I remember not liking these scenes. Like, they're cool, but like that's what I don't mean I don't like them because they're not cool. I don't like them because it's scary.
Yeah.
Like, they bump into it, and they're like, oh, we must have hit a reef. And they look over, and they're like, there's no reef. And, like, you hear the moaning, and then, like, the tentacles, like, come over to the side of the ship, and it's like, oh, my God, we're going to die. And, yeah, Will he, like, gets to the crow's nest, and like, he barely escapes. Like, he falls off the water off one of the masses that the tentacle snaps, and like he falls onto the water. So like he barely escapes.
Well, he falls onto another one and slices it all the way down with the blade, and then kicks off that into the water.
And this thing just like
sucks
it like pulls the ship down and like snaps it into multiple pieces, and
terrifying.
And then like
it's a good thing it doesn't exist.
And yeah.
That we know of.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't say that.
So like Will gets on some driftwood, and he's like, okay. And then the Dutchman comes up out of the water, and then like he like flops back into the water so it doesn't see him.
And then he secretly boards the Dutchman.
Oh, does he?
Yes. Yeah. He then hides on the Dutchman to hitch a ride.
So the Black Pearl sails to Isla Cruces, where they get to a point on this little island beach type thing, and like then they get to a certain point, and then the compass starts spinning again.
Well, the compass starts pointing at Jack when she holds it. Yeah, it's
when
on the boat, and then once they're on the island, it keeps pointing at Jack every once in a while because she kind of wants Jack. And you have to rewatch it. It does. And
Are
then,
you sure?
Yes. That's why she got so frustrated with the not being able to find the chest, is because it kept pointing at Jack every time she was looking for the chest. And then Jack finally picked it up and was like, "You're sitting on it."
Right. That's why it was. that's why it wasn't working, because she was on top of it.
Rewatch it.
I,
Next time you watch it, just look at it.
I'm pretty sure it was working until they get to the island, and then like it starts not to work because she was sitting on it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, we will rewatch it, and I'll show you.
I'm not going to.
Okay, I'll just show you the piece when we're done.
So they get to it. They start. Jack doesn't dig, but the other two dig.
She doesn't dig either. It's just Norrington.
True. So they find it. But they don't have the key. Will has the key. But he shows up. And that's why I think he didn't. So I find that interesting too, that he was on the Dutchman. Mm-hmm. And like,
well, he was in the mouth of the Dutchman,
and then it went underwater, and
he just showed up.
And
in
then
the water.
Just showed up where they were. I'm like, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
That's some neat magic, kid. How'd you do that? But yeah, he's obviously pissed at Jack because he gave him up.
Yeah.
So, and Norrington also wants it because this could give him his stature back. So then they all start fighting with their swords, like over the chest.
Of them, yeah.
They leave the chest in the dirt where it lays, and then they're all fighting with it. And I really like this sword fight. Like, and then the two idiot pirates show up and they take the chest and they run away with it.
So like, if they're fighting over it, there must be something pretty valuable inside.
But at the same time, the Dutchman shoots back up out of the water, and Davy Jones says, "Go get it, because I can't step foot on land." And
another 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, and he tells him, he's like, "You don't want to know what will happen if you fail to get me that chest." I don't think he says that exactly, but he's like, basically,
don't fail.
Don't fail, basically. And so his crew runs up out of the ocean, like after all the two idiot pirates and Elizabeth, as they're running away from them. The sword fight is still happening. Like, they get on this old, like, I don't know what it is, like this old stone building that has like it
was a church, I think.
That water powered like wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, they break that off, and like, or no, first, my bad. So Jack, he yoinks because like it's a point where like they get separated for like half a second, and the choreography with this is great. I also love how it shows how competent they are with like the sword fighting. Even Jack.
Yeah.
He gets separated for a second, and like Norrington has the key, and like it's on his it's on his belt or something like that as he's fighting with Will, and like Jack's behind Norrington, and like he's trying to like he's trying to reach in, grab the key, and like he snags the key, and they both turn around, and like both Norrington and Will are pointing the swords at Jack, and they're both pissed at Jack, and Norrington says, "You are the man that ruined my life." He's like, "I'm going to kill you." And then I love Jack's response so much. He's like, "Well, let's think about that for a second. Who is the man that broke me out to,
and
for you to
chase,
took your girl and to chase me around the world?" And so like they, do they knock Jack off the wall?
Yeah, he falls.
He falls into a grave. and then he's like, "Unfortunately, Mr. Turner, that's true." So they start fighting again, and like they go onto this wheel, and like it starts to break off, and it spins, and they're having to run as they
running
fight
on top of it, like a log in the water, like a water log thing.
And like Jack's getting up out of the grave, and then like I guess it must have been, this part must have been weak enough to like get Jack within it, but then like
not keep breaking,
hold him, and then so like the key falls off, and it's like inside of the thing that's spinning, And then like Jack gets free, but he gets knocked out with and he falls out of it while the key is like spinning within the this turning thing. And as Elizabeth and the two dorks are like, she goes to pull her sword, but she doesn't have her sword. So they're running away, and then they see that, and then the Dutchman's men are chasing after. There's a lot of chasing going on.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, so they're having fight. So they so Jack keeps up with them. They have the chest at the dinghy that those two idiots brought. Jack, or no, not those two idiots brought.
Jack secretly like gets the heart and puts it in the jar of dirt.
Yeah.
But Norrington sees this dirt and is like, there's something in the jar.
Yeah, because he sees it spread over throughout the dinghy. And yeah, Norrington's not a dumb guy. So he's like, Jack put it in the jar of dirt.
Yeah, so Norrington secretly takes it and then sacrifices himself, quote unquote, sacrifices himself. Because
he takes the chest.
Yeah.
With nothing in it.
Correct.
So he's running away, and then Jack's still thinking that the jar of dirt has the heart. And he goes, well, let's respect his wishes and let's go. So they go away on the dinghy back to the Black Pearl with Elizabeth, Will, and Jack.
Yeah.
Norrington runs away, and he's like, they surround him, and he's like, okay. He throws him. He's like, okay, have it, and he throws him the chest, and he runs away.
Yeah. Doesn't Jack now have the curse again on his hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's still running away from Davy Jones. So where am I? Lost my place. Oh, well, so the Dutchman, or Davy Jones is pissed. He's following them in the Dutchman. But they said they have the wind with them, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
The Black Pearl has the wind.
The Black Pearl is much faster with wind.
Yes.
But without wind, the
Dutchman
wins.
So they have the wind, luckily, so they're escaping. They and then the Dutchman signals the Kraken. And then the Kraken
crushes.
So luckily they have a plan because Will knows sort of how to fight this thing. And so they get the cannons ready to like shoot the tentacles as it comes up the side. They have guns ready. And also at the meantime they're preparing kegs full of gunpowder. And rum. And the rum.
Yeah, they only had 4 things of gunpowder. He goes, "Get the rum."
And they're like, the whole crew is like silent, and they look at Gibbs, and they're like, no. And he goes, and the rum, and they're like,
dude, that's like a running joke.
So that's a pretty cool bomb. Like that's a very
gunpowder.
What's the word
alcohol?
I'm looking for?
Improvised explosive IED.
That too. I guess I'm thinking like I don't know. Reactive, I guess, like reactive because of like the alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't know. So they're getting that prepared. They stable off the first attack from the Kraken by
shooting it with cannons.
Yeah. But the ship has already been damaged from a couple cannon shots from the Dutchman, and like each time the Kraken like damages the Pearl a little bit more. And like it's kind of sweet, I feel like, because Gibbs is like, "Come on, old girl, like stick with it."
Dude, and we see Jack rowing away.
So like they're getting prepared for the second attack as they're like hauling up, they're like stringing up the big bomb that they're making.
Yeah.
And they look over, and Jack's in a dinghy. He's like swimming away towards the land.
And he's upset. He's like, "Stop shooting my boat."
Yeah, and like that's also interesting too, is like the second time that the Kraken is attacking, like you get to see that look. He's like, "Oh, it's attacking my ship. That's sort of sad. But it kind of goes back to that conversation that he had with Elizabeth earlier. She's like, you'll be curious one day about being the good guy. You'll want to do it. And he does, because he comes back.
Yeah.
Because, like, the Kraken he's, like, killed a lot of the crew and, like, almost takes Elizabeth. But then the two goofball pirates, like, they cut off that tentacle, so they save Elizabeth. She has the musket.
Yeah. And Will is supposed to draw the thing's attention.
Yeah.
And then she's supposed to shoot it once he's clear.
Right.
But his foot gets stuck.
Will. Come on, Will.
Oh, what a goofball.
One job. So, yeah, his foot's stuck. And then the gun gets flung across the ship.
Yeah.
Up top to where, like, the, I guess, where you steer. It gets flung up there.
Yeah.
And she's frantically trying to get up to it. And, like, at the same time, Will cuts his foot loose and, like, a couple of kegs are starting to fall out. She runs up to there and, like, a boot, like, comes down on the gun.
Honestly, I thought that was a bad guy. When it happened.
Who'd you think it was?
I don't know.
Like one of the Dutchmen? Or
yeah.
like...
I thought it was one of the Dutchmen or just like a mutineer. Like somebody was like,
we're screwed.
We've had enough.
But nah, it's an I'm him performance from Jack.
It's me.
He takes up the musket and like hits the shot. Like it hits one of the ones that are falling out. And, like, it blows it up and, like, hits, like, 3 or 4 of the tentacles and, like, sets them on fire. And, like, the tentacles go back down.
Yeah.
And they're like, did we kill it? And then Gibbs is like, nah, we just pissed it off.
So, now they're all going to get into the dinghy and get out of there. But
they have to leave the ship.
And Jack is like, all right, sounds good, let's go.
Well, Jack, at first, he's kind of like, he's like, putting his hand on it. And, like, it sucks because, like, this has been his ship for, like, more than 13 years. Because, like...
Yeah.
Because he had it before, you know, the thing with Barbossa and everything.
It has been 13 years. He said, well, I've only really been the captain for 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah. That was 10 years ago that Barbossa kicked him out.
Oh, was it 10? Interesting.
Yeah.
So... he has, like, you know, sentimental value towards the ship. Yeah. But he eventually says, he's like, it's just a ship, mate. So, yeah. And then Elizabeth, not cool. I don't like Elizabeth.
Well, she knows that the Kraken is after him.
Not cool. They could have all gone to land. God. No, I get it.
Oh, jeez.
Jeez, Elizabeth. She, like, kisses him.
Just to
Will
distract him.
Will sees it, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
We were going to get married.
And while she does that, she handcuffs him. And then
yeah.
I love how Jack smiles. He's like, pirate.
Yeah, that was truly treacherous.
Yeah, just like a pirate would do.
Yeah.
And so... they leave, and Elizabeth says he elected to stay with the ship. So they're swimming away on the dinghy. And as they're getting away, like, the mouth of the Kraken, like, comes up behind Jack. Dude, that thing looks wild. And he
it burps out his hat.
And he's like, oh.
He puts it on and then
yeah, through some, like, lighter oil, he gets free of, like, the handcuffs, and he turns around and, like, yeah, it screams at him. And, yeah, he's like, oh. He puts on his hat, and he takes out his sword. He's like, come on, beastie. And then he jumps into its mouth with the sword. It's kind of sick.
Yeah. And that's the end, right?
That's the end of Jack and the Black Pearl.
Then the rest of the crew goes to that island again to talk to the witch doctor.
Yeah, this is kind of like the
after credit scene.
Right.
They go to talk to the witch doctor, and they're like,
so
there has to be a way we can get Jack back.
So yeah, they're all sentimental, and they're like saying what a good man Jack was, and I think you can pretty easily see it. Like the rest of the crew thinks that
He gave his life.
That Elizabeth is just sad for losing Jack, but we know that why she is tearing up is because she doesn't like her decision of what she did. So yeah, I think it's like they talk about bringing him back somehow.
Yeah.
And Will says, yes, I would. And then she goes, and then she pops up out of nowhere and she's like, how far would you go? Would you go to the ends of the earth? And it's like,
yeah, I'd go to the ends of the earth.
Spooky.
Would you go to the world's end?
He's like, you're going to need a captain. And then,
then a monkey comes out of nowhere.
The monkey. And then you hear steps coming down, and then can't curse.
Barbosa.
Frickin' Barbosa. He's like, what has become of my ship? And then he takes a bite of the apple and letting us know that
he's human.
He's free of the curse. And it's like,
but he's supposed to be dead.
Where'd he come from? What? And then, boom, ends. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And it's like, oh my God.
Dude, I wonder, because the monkey came.
The monkey was there the whole time.
Yeah.
It was a skeleton monkey for like the whole movie.
Yeah. Ah,
and Jack was trying, like, that was a running joke through this movie, is Jack was trying to shoot it.
He's like, look, boom, nothing.
And then they're like, yeah, and then Gibbs is like, that won't do anything. He goes, for me it will.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the monkey was there the whole time.
I thought maybe if he stole another piece of gold, like if the monkey put a piece of gold in his hand, he would turn into the skeleton again and heal, and then he could put the gold back and become back. But I don't
know. I don't remember because I have to watch the third movie again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the third movie at all.
I'm guessing that's what the monkey did.
Yeah.
And then he went to Talia and got like, woo, and then
magic.
And he's human because the monkey is just a monkey again.
What?
Yeah, you saw it at the end, right? It's just a monkey.
I wanted ghost monkey.
Ghost skeleton monkey. Anyways, I think this was another fairly solid entry. I'd rank it along the same cool lines as like I give it like an 8 or a 9 just because I think of how cool the Kraken and Davy Jones is.
Yeah.
Like really cool villains. So yeah, special effects, action, all top notch. Acting, ooh, very cool acting.
Yeah. Dude, it was great.
I mean, again, I think they got better. I think Will and Elizabeth got better in this movie. I think their performances were a little better. But once again, the pirate crew steals the show. Especially Jack.
I mean, these are pirate movies, I mean, it's...
I think even Norrington is kind of going down kind of a cool arc, sort of.
That was the ending. Was Norrington goes to...
Oh, that was the other one of the endings, too, yeah.
The main bad guy and gives him the heart.
Yeah, goes to the Lord.
The Lord.
And gives him the beating heart of Davy Jones.
Dude. So cool.
So now Norrington controls the sea.
Well, Norrington doesn't. The other guy
Or
does.
not Norrington.
And Norrington's
the
free.
Lord controls
the Lord. Yeah, dude, I would say like an 8. I think this was really good.
Yeah, kind of a... and it's not a forceful way to like force a sequel. I think there's it's organic. There's more story to tell with another movie. So yeah, really good movie. Really enjoyed it.
That it is one of the few times where I'd say that the sequel is better than the first.
Ooh.
Because I really liked the action in this one with the big villain being obviously the end goal villain being the Lord, but the main villain being
Davy Jones. Yeah, I think I would agree that it's kind of bigger.
Yes, I guess it's a bigger movie than the first.
I guess I don't know about better, but it's definitely bigger.
Yeah. Well, they probably also had more budget for the second one.
Sure. It got popular.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I remember. I don't really remember because I was like.
I dressed as a pirate for 4 years in a row for Halloween because of these movies.
But I think what I remember, looking at the internet, there was a pirate craze during these movies.
Dude, we had birthday parties of pirates. We had
heck yeah
pirates for Halloween dude, it was growing up in a household full of boys. It was a lot of pirates.
But yeah, another solid entry in the Pirates of the Caribbean series.
Absolutely. Well, that is going to do it for us. This has been the Silver Screen Shenanigans podcast. Thank you all for listening, and we hope to see you next time.